Joe, Clemson and SMU faced off yesterday in the ACC Championship game. Clemson, little old Dabo, back in the playoff. They won the ACC. They beat SMU. Your thoughts?
Look, good job, Dabo. You won the ACC Championship game. I think there's a lot of applause going to Dabo for finishing this. I don't think it's earned. I really don't. You had SMU on their, like your foot was on their neck. You had the chance to end the game at around halftime. If you came out swinging in the third quarter, the game could have been over. You could have continued to run the football. You could have asserted your dominance in your physicality, but they were getting out coached in the second half. Kevin Jennings was super productive. They threw the ball 50 times in this game, but it just is really lame to me that is the outcome of the ACC Championship game. And to not talk about if they're deserving of being in the playoff field, I don't want to waste our time rehashing that because we already talked about it earlier. But the fact that Clemson had this chance to really prove themselves and failed to do so, and that SMU meandered about and had to scrap their way back into the football game, I don't feel good about either of these teams. Both these teams get knocked out in the first round. Kevin Jennings is a nice player, but they do not have the offensive line to protect him. And I'd be worried about the run game for Clemson because Phil Maffa looks seriously banged up, and he could not get going in this game. There's just so many problems for both these teams that I can't pinpoint just one in particular.
Here's the problem. Going into this game, you and I talked about SMU and Clemson, and I don't mind that they abandoned the run. Let me explain. You had the 96th team in the country in passing yards allowed you're going up against in SMU. And we talked about this at great length. I don't mind the play style. I don't mind the game plan, right? Because, you're talking about a team that couldn't stop teams that aren't finishing above 500 and don't have good passing offenses that are converting against SMU. The problem that I had is that you were doing it in the first half and you were converting on crucial third downs. It's why you were able to get 4 touchdowns with Klubnik. It's why Wesco was able to get going over the middle of the field and why he had 2 touchdowns too. The problem is the execution went to shit. It's the most Dabo thing ever, right? I feel like Clemson shows flashes of doing really good things like they did against South Carolina early, and then downs the game and they wee their leg, right? I feel like I always see flashes and then something just drastically halts.
Yeah.
Remember the first half versus Georgia in week 1? Remember that?
Yeah.
And the first
they looked competitive.
I'm like, they better find a way offensively to get something going, but defensively, that defense is something. Joe, I don't mind the game plan. I just hated the execution. They got away from Brenningstool. So you have Brenningstool who's got 2 touchdowns, and in the second half, I'm like, where is Brenningstool, the tight end?
Yeah.
There's nobody on the field that's more freakish than that guy. And then secondly here's the thing about Clemson. Bro, I know you're talking about physicality going their way in the first half and bro, SMU's D-line physically dominated them in the running game. They got physically surprising. Dominated. And I will tell you this. I know Texas is not, I don't know if Texas has the best defensive line in the country, but if that is a weakness that or a team that you're going to face, good luck, bud. Good luck.
Wait. Well, Texas does have one of the best defensive lines in the country.
I said I'm not going to say they have the best, but man, geez. Look, they still got run on yesterday by Georgia in the second half. Anyway, to your point.
That's in line with what I was saying here, and that's my biggest sense for both these teams in this game, is that Clemson got manhandled at times by this SMU defensive line. And we talked about coming into the game that SMU's defensive line was super competitive. They were super productive. It was the backbone of their success this season was the fact that they had those guys. Clemson's inability to move the ball on SMU and to protect Klubnik consistently in the second half makes me feel exactly what you just said. I do not think that they are going to have any success blocking against that Texas front that can be very smothering against mediocre offensive line units like the one that Clemson has. And then the flip side of this, SMU's offensive line was getting its ass kicked. And if it wasn't for Kevin Jennings, who is super elusive,
freak,
right, being a point guard out there trying to find ways to get the ball out of his hands before.
Well, that's a good way of putting him.
He plays like a point guard. Like,
dude,
he totally does.
Okay, all right. Can I tell you who? So I had some friends over, right? And then some other guys that were talking in the group chat, and we're watching it on dual screen, the multi-view.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I said Jennings was Rajon Rondo peak Boston.
He knows how to distribute the ball, man. He knows how to navigate traffic and distribute the ball. But
the thing is, though, man, when he misses, he misses.
So right? That's what I'm saying is imagine Abdul Carter chasing him down. Like both these
Carter
teams
can't catch him. Ain't nobody can catch that dude. If he's out in the open field, good luck catching him.
I think Abdul Carter can catch him. I think Abdul Carter's going to have an easy time. Right. I'm just saying all this to say that I do not think that SMU or Clemson are going to put up much of a fight in their first round matchups. They're going to be gone in an instant.
Here's the real truth. Both teams are probably around even. They just had 2 turnovers early. They weren't ready for the moment. They settled in. They came all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably about even, right? And so when I see SMU and Clemson being a little bit, I still think Clemson's the better football team. I do. Ultimately, I do. But I know that they're fun to watch. I love Rhett Lashley. I just don't – look, man, their secondary is abysmal. I mean, I know this is probably not what SMU's or Penn State, rather, what their ultimate game plan is going to want to be going into this game against them. But, Joe, I promise you, as God is my witness, Drew Aller better have 35 to 40 passing attempts in this game. They are that, brother. They led a wide receiver room from Clemson, who that has been a massive thing that we've talked about how bad they've been against better teams. Is their wide receiver room is not great, and Wesco goes off. Bro, they're letting below average receiving rooms go off. That's the scary thing. And, buddy, I just got to tell you, Tyler Warren, if you can't cover some of these guys, okay. He's a different beast.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
All right. You said it, not me, but goodness gracious.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.